Can we go through the usual gags? Roberto, can we take your mask off? Please.
I did have one actually, but we've already been there.
It's clearly not him though, because you're on time. Did he get his birthday wish? Not talk to me.
I don't think it is. I don't know. I don't think it's a case of just his birthday wish. You know, game's coming thick and fast. I think his words are in the system. You know.
Let's talk football. On from Sunday. The fact that people maybe were disgruntled fans, I mean, with a point at Chelsea, does that show much progress you've made and how high the expectations are?
I think first and foremost, going into the game, I think you're playing Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and I spoke to somebody in the morning and they said, would you be happy with a point? And it's not a case of saying anything before the game. I think you've got to be look at the way that the game goes. And then you take your view from there. I think the disappointment from our perspective is that we only got a point because of the way that the game went. But had we been up against a barrage of where they'd have dominated possession, dominated chances, etc., we'd have been away. We'd have been happy with a point. We're disappointed because we felt that we played well enough, certainly up until the final third, to take the 3. But at the end of the day, you keep adding points to your tally, and you see where you are. It's still a positive result in terms of getting a point. And as I say, Stamford Bridge, Chelsea away. I think if you threw it into the mix at the start of the season and said you were going to take a point there, you'd accept it.
The manager afterwards talked about maybe a lack of goals at the moment. Is that something that clicks, or is there too much onus on the strikers and maybe the team's got to think about scoring goals?
Well, you can draw comparisons to last season if you want. I don't know how many goals we had down from last season, something like 15. But we were setting records left, right, and centre last season. So I think that was a false thing as well last season. How many goals we scored after 13 games? We'd like to have a few more, of course, because it would have got those extra victories. But 13 games in, 1 point off the top, still unbeaten. There's enough in there to be pleased about.
When you compare it on last season, people have criticised your defence this season, yet you've got more clean sheets in the Premier League than you have at this stage. So something's going well or not going wrong.
Well, I mean, for a long period of time, we've I don't know whether I think it's stopped to a certain extent. I don't know. I haven't been looking at it, but people have criticised the defensive, not the defence, but our defensive phase, if you like, that we've conceded goals. I think last time I had a look, the team that had conceded least goals in the Premiership was ourselves. So I think again, it's dangerous to start drawing comparisons with last season. But I think after 13 games, if I'm not mistaken, I think we've conceded less than we had done after 13 games last year. But there's only really one statistic that counts. It's the points,
How pleased have you been with the one kind of major component changing that defence with Matja, Nastasić? I mean, people expect him to play maybe a supporting part. He's playing quite a leading role.
Well, I think that's testament to him as well. I mean, he's stepped in. I think the first couple of games he had to get used to English football, but he's done that very quickly. I think the real good performance. I mean, he's had several good performances. Don't get me wrong, but I think the real one where I thought it might just be a little bit alien to him was when we went down to West Ham and you knew that the ball was going to be coming in, they were going to hit the diagonals towards Carroll, and I thought he acquitted himself exceptionally well there against that, because in many ways, you get that a lot in the Premier League that you don't get in Serie A, and I think it shows that there's an old age on young shoulders to have adapted as quick as he has done with that kind of style of play.
And also someone alongside him, perhaps one of the best in Europe to learn from, doesn't hurt, does it?
Well, listen, I mean, goalkeepers and defenders will always look at clean sheets, but they won't get them unless they've got players in front of them that are actually working as well. So I think it's dangerous to split the groups up, like you just said about the goals. You can't just the strikers are the predominant ones that have got to get the goals. The defenders, the goalkeeper, are the ones that have got to keep the clean sheets, but without each other. They don't work. So I think from a whole, we've defended reasonably well, certainly in the Premier League.
How is Vincent? Is 2 games in a week after that injury too much, or did he react okay from Sunday?
No, I mean, it's not a case of it being too much at all. I mean, Vinny, no doubt about it, would have still been feeling the effects of the injury that he picked up last Wednesday in the game, but he got through the game and got through it very, very well. There's nothing to do with the injury. There was no after effects from the injury. He iced it straight afterwards, but that's that's a precaution. We don't really have any concerns with him for tomorrow night.
And in terms of anything else, is Gael Clichy closer, or is he?
Well, he's closer. He's not there yet. Yeah. I mean, they're all closer by virtue of the fact that days pass by.
Are you going to pick him soon?
Soon, you would hope so. Yes. I mean, Gael's progressing, and progressing as well, if not better, than we probably expected. But I mean, we shouldn't turn around and start saying he's on a training pitch or he's going to be on the bench. He won't be anywhere involved tomorrow. And by virtue of the fact that I don't think he'll be on the training pitch even towards the end of this week. I think Saturday's out as well.
Is this a trickier game than perhaps it would have been last season, bearing in mind we're going to play with more belief?
I think they're all tricky games. I think whenever you look at your calendar, it's dangerous to start turning around and saying, well, that's a really tricky period, and then that's the period you're going to pick up points. I think every game that comes in the Premier League is tough. I know it's a cliche. But Wigan have a great deal of belief in themselves, I think, and always have had, even when they haven't had the results. I think they've had a belief in themselves. I think Roberto Martinez puts that into his teams. He wants them to play. They make the field very, very big when they've got possession, and because of that they can create you problems. We've got to take advantage of the fact that when they are open and we do win the ball, that we strike them hopefully on a counter-attack before they can recover from it. But by the same token, that doesn't mean that we're going to sit back and counter them. They've got to be concerned with our game too.
Is he similar though to the manager here in that he does stick to his principles and says, right, this is my way? Or are all managers like that?
I think all the best ones are, yeah.
But some are more take more chances if a course of action is not working, as people might perceive Roberto Martinez at Wigan not working because not getting points. He stuck to a way of playing which got them out. Other managers might have gone perhaps more direct.
Possibly, but I think that that's the way that he's wanted to play. I think, and he's been there. He's been at the club for quite a period of time. I think when you're at a club for quite a period of time and you bring the players in that you want to bring in, you've brought them in to suit a certain style. To change that style, it's very, very difficult when you've bought players with the characteristics to fit that one. So, I don't know whether he's similar to Robbie in that sense. He shares the same name.
Final question from me. I mean, you're in the dugout obviously at Stamford Bridge. There's a lot of vitriol coming to Rafa Benitez. We've seen other stuff at West Ham. Is the dynamic between fans and management and players changing? Are fans getting away with more, or think they've got more of a voice since you played? I mean, is there
got more of a voice? I don't know. I think since I played, it's bigger in terms of its scrutiny. I think in terms of the media, the different parts of the media, it's give it more scrutiny. The newspapers are bigger, devote more column inches to football in an era where it's second-hand news almost what goes into print journalism because of the 24-hour sports channels, etc., etc. So I think that scrutiny is there. It's much more apparent. I think, to be honest with you, we just got to get on with it. We can't do anything about it. I think nobody likes to see. When I was at Stamford Bridge, as you said, and you don't like to see that. But Rafa's strong enough and knows that what turns it round. Results turn it round, so that's what he'll concentrate on.
Is this a sort of game that suits City, playing against a team that likes to play good football as well?
I think you get 38 games against different opposition, different styles. I don't think there's anybody that necessarily suits us to play against. When we've had to break teams down, we dominate possession, and we've managed to do that more often than not. A team that's more open against us gives us more opportunity to get forward and to impose our games, but also puts us under more pressure. So I think it's it'd be silly to turn around and say that we're going to a team that suit our style of play, because I think statistics have shown over the last couple of years we've won more than we've lost. So therefore, there's a lot of styles that suit us.
Not against Wigan though. I don't think you've been beaten in a long time since Wigan have beaten you, certainly. That was all. Just injuries as well. I know you said they were nearer, but Jack and Jolion, how are they doing in their progression?
Joleon's fine.
So back on the bench again, or possibly starting for this one?
Joleon will be available for selection, like he was available for selection at the weekend. Joleon hasn't been injured for a few games. He's been available.
He's not been starting them though, has he? It was more.
No, but that's by virtue they can only put 11
Yeah.
onto a pitch, unfortunately.
And Jack, how well is he doing?
Jack's progressing. He had a little setback last week, but it's a couple of days setback. It was nothing. He just felt a little bit tight. He played 45 minutes for the EDS, and then felt a little bit tight a couple of days later in training, so we just eased it off. But he's progressing.